first I want to begin with saying that this is not going to be a dramatic video. So if you're looking for drama, if you're looking for tea, that's not what's happening here. That's not my style. I want to share with you some perspective that I have on, and opinions really, that I have on what's going on with Rawvana, what's going on with some other things that feel a little bit similar to me, and hopefully create a different type of conversation that's happening. It's really interesting because sometime recently I came across my video that I did when Asina O'Neill decided to quit social media. I think that was in 2015. I don't know if you remember her, but she was a fairly large vegan YouTuber at the time. And I had met her, she came into LA. She was just someone that I thought was really doing cool work, and she was just this beautiful person. And within like maybe a couple months of meeting her, maybe even less, she actually decided to quit everything that she was doing, which was crazy because for her following size at the time, 3 or 4 years ago, it was like she was massive. Right? It's all relative towards the time, but I think, you know, hundreds of thousands of followers and all of that, and a lot of people knew who she was. And then she just decided to leave it all, and she created some content sharing that she just was fed up with social media and the way people responded and treated her based on her appearance. And it was just very fascinating, and I was just looking at that like maybe within a week from today. And today I get this message from a friend of mine asking if I had heard what was going on with Rawvana. And actually, before I get to that, a few days ago when I posted a video about sharing some vulnerable stuff, I had written a title like, "This is hard for me" or something. And I had this picture of me looking upset, because I was feeling upset inside. But I'll be completely honest, like those were definitely, I don't like this term, but those were clickbait, right? Those are ways for me to capture people's interest. That's what we do as YouTubers. I'm not a huge fan of clickbait, but you know, I feel like it's hard to get people to pay attention, and sometimes you want to position it in a way that captures their interest, and hopefully your content will continue even if it's not exactly what they thought it was going to be. Transparency, right? But anyways, what was interesting is one of the comments I received, one of the first comments I received on that video from last week was somebody writing, "Oh, I thought you were gonna say that you're no longer vegan." And I was so surprised because that was not my intention at all. Like when I was trying to come up with a good title and a thumbnail, I was just trying to like drive some emotion, right? So people would be like, "Hey, what is she upset about? What is she feeling? What's going on in Whitney's life?" But it never occurred to me that anyone would think that I wasn't vegan anymore. I'm very, very committed to veganism, and I'm not a perfect vegan. There are decisions that I make that may not be 100% vegan, right? I talked about in my most recent video how I had honey for a few days on this fasting mimicking diet. And some people will see that as me not being fully vegan. That's fine. But for me, the core of being vegan is not eating meat. So I haven't had meat or fish in 16 years. And dairy, right? That's not part of my diet. I don't make an exception for that. Honey to me is a little bit of a gray area. That's a whole nother topic, right? And I respect anybody's opinion that view it as very black and white. And I'm not going to get into that in this video. But I just wanted to bring that up because even though I've been vegan for 16 years and I feel very committed to it, I identify myself as vegan, I wear vegan shirts, all of that, some people may not see me as a perfect vegan. So anyways, there's just been this interesting kind of trend where recently some people have announced that they're no longer vegan, and some of those people have been YouTubers. I don't really pay that much attention to that type of content, but I was curious about Rawvana because I've met Rawvana before. She's kind of in the circle or whatever of LA vegan YouTubers. I've seen her at events. We have mutual friends. I'm friends with Christina from Fully Raw, and you know, they had their stuff going on years ago, and that's kind of how I started to get familiar with who Rawvana was, and maybe you know her from that. Whatever. Like, I just don't know Rawvana that well. I just mainly know of her, and I've been around her before. But I was curious, right? That piqued my interest, and I looked her up online about an hour ago and saw what was going on. And if you haven't seen yet, she has been eating fish again and some other animal products due to some health things and some recommendations from her doctor. My first reaction to this is that I actually have a lot of compassion for how hard this must be for her. And this is how I felt about Asina. This is also how I feel about Olivia Jade. If you're paying attention to the college admissions scandal with Lori Loughlin, I have a lot of opinions about that college admissions thing, but over the past week since that news came out, I just kept feeling like bad for Olivia Jade, who is the daughter of Lori Loughlin, and she was involved in manipulating the college admissions to get into USC. But we're talking about this teenager, Olivia Jade, who is now, looks like she's dropping out of college. I don't know, it's hard to keep track with all the news, but it seems like she's gonna drop out of USC. She's lost sponsorships, and she's a teenager. She's this young girl who is just doing, from my opinion, the best that she can, because I believe all of us are doing the best they can. So coming back to Rawvana, I believe that Rawvana, I'm gonna give Rawvana the benefit of the doubt that she's doing the best that she can. And it really breaks my heart watching people shame others for doing things that they don't agree with. There's so much of this happening in the world constantly. The media perpetuates it. Fox News is covering this Rawvana thing. Tons of news outlets were covering Asina back in 2015. And you can't go on YouTube or turn on the television or go on social media without somebody talking about the college admissions scandal, right? Meanwhile, there's all sorts of, in my opinion, even worse things happening in the world, like the shootings that are happening, which seem to be super frequent. There are so many issues with our legal system. There are so many issues with our government. There are so many huge things with our environment, right? Let's come back to the eco-veganism of this all. How we need to put our attention on these big things, and yet these dramatic things based on other people's choices and other people's mistakes or things that we don't agree with are taking up so much of our time and energy. Even me, I mean, why am I spending the time to make a video on this? The reason that I wanted to talk about this today and share my strong opinion about this is that I do not believe in shaming other people. I think that there's still a little bit of gray area, right? There are things in life where you might feel like it's so important to shame someone, and every once in a while, maybe I'll agree with that, but for the most part, I think shaming people is one of the worst things that we can do as human beings, because it is so insanely hurtful. I have experienced so much shame in my life over things that are relatively much smaller than a college admissions scandal, or eating fish and pretending that I'm vegan, or however you want to perceive what Rawvana is going on. I have felt shame for my body. I have felt shame for so many, I mean, just so many things, but relatively small things that I've carried around, and the weight has been so strong on me. And so to know what it's like to feel shame, to know what it's like to be shamed by people, criticized, embarrassed, and to have studied a lot about shame. I'm a huge fan of Brené Brown's work, and if you're unfamiliar with her, I really encourage you to check out Daring Greatly. And I thought it was just me, but it isn't. You can watch her TED Talk on vulnerability. She has taught me so much about what it means to shame, and I have become a huge proponent on wanting to stop the cycle of shame, which I don't think is fully possible. I think there will always be some shame in this world. There's probably more shame than we know what to do with. It's kind of like looking at the environment and seeing all of the little ways that we can make an impact on the environment. But for the most part, there's a lot of things that are happening in the world that are irreversible, right? Or that may never change. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to make change. And so part of the change that I want to see in the world is people shaming each other less, and people being real about the reason that they're shaming others. And my guess is that when somebody is shaming someone like Rawvana, Olivia Jade, on, you name it, when we feel the desire to publicly shame someone, especially, or even internally, like in our own heads, in our hearts, to sit there and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe that person did that. How dare they? They're such an awful person. How could they? What were they thinking? All of these things that go on when we have this mentality of shame. My perspective is that we tend to shame people that we are envious of, or we shame people that are very different from us because it makes us feel better about ourselves if somebody seems worse than us, or if we watch somebody fall from grace. Like Rawvana, as a YouTuber, I've always admired her work. Like, regardless of maybe not agreeing with all of her decisions, I still have admired what she's accomplished as a YouTuber and as a content creator. She is a beautiful woman externally. She has amassed a very strong following, and that is hard to do. I've been doing my work for 10 years and I have not achieved what she's achieved. That doesn't mean that I agree with everything that she does and everything that she says. It doesn't mean that I'm friends with her, like, right? But I can look at her and say, well done, Rawvana. I don't agree with eating fish, but I also don't agree with shaming somebody for choosing to eat fish because they are not me. I am not that person. I am not in their head. I'm not in their body. I'm not their doctor. I am not even their best friend or their parent. Someone like Rawvana, I know such little of. I have a surface level knowledge of Rawvana. Just like, for the most part, you have a surface level knowledge of me. You only see me in 20-minute long videos. You see me on my Instagram, whatever. Those are my highlights most of the time, except for my more recent content where I've been getting a little bit deeper, right? But the things that you know about me are the things that I've been choosing to share with you, the parts of my life that I've revealed. But you will never know me fully. Even my parents and any loved ones in my life, my romantic partners, my best friends will never fully know me. And I don't believe that we will ever fully know anyone. And so to get in this place of judging someone based on a decision that we don't agree with, based on them not meeting our expectations, based on them changing, even if it looks like black and white, because that person, it seems like that person has lied to us or deceived us or they've cheated, right? Those are very strong things. I think ethically we see those black and white, right and wrong. But are they really? Do you think that you can reflect back on your life? Can you find times in your life where you've made a decision and later regretted it? Can you look at your life and see decisions that other people would strongly disagree with? It's like that saying, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Most of us have some sort of skeleton in our closet. Most of us have done things we're not proud of. And thank goodness other people haven't discovered them, right? Because we are growing as people and we should be forgiven and we shouldn't be publicly shamed. Oh my gosh, I cannot imagine what it is like to have thousands, if not millions of people publicly shaming about you, talking about you, posting, commenting, bullying, trolling. I've had a minute amount of bullying and trolling in my career, and that has hurt me so much that I cannot imagine 10xing or 100xing that. So that's why I have compassion. And ultimately, I want to encourage you to really think about what you say to other people, how you judge them, and if you're going to publicly shame them or internally shame them. Ask yourself why you're doing that, and if it's really necessary, are you contributing to a better world by saying those things? And what's the point, really? Because your words are not changing somebody's mind necessarily. Maybe they'll influence them or inspire them. I think we have some of that power, but ultimately each of us is making a decision based on doing our best. And for whatever reason, Rawvana feels like she's doing her best and making a decision based on her best interest. And so that's why I don't feel like it's my place to judge or shame her. And maybe it's not yours either if you felt that way. So that's what I have to say about that. Just be mindful of the things that you say and think about other people, and maybe use them as opportunities to reflect on how you think and feel about yourself. Because I think deep down a lot of us are dealing with a lot of pain and looking for ways to escape it. And that might be one of the biggest reasons that people criticize, judge, and shame others, because really we just want to feel better about ourselves. There are so many other ways that we can do that though. And my mission is to continue to show you all the ways that you can feel good about yourself and focus on yourself so that you don't have to find cruel outlets. This isn't a black and white thing. I'm sure you'll have disagreements with what I'm saying too, and that's all right. I just ask you to be respectful and be mindful about what you're going to say before you say it. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.